What's going on, y'all? I'm your host, Cool Colas, and you are now tuning into a new video on my channel. For today's topic, we're going to be talking about the Ironheart trailer. And I want to give my reactions on what I thought about this trailer from the get-go, and also my thoughts on the Ironheart series as a whole. So let's get into it. Listen, y'all. Listen. So I saw the Ironheart trailer, right? I saw it all the way through, and let me just say that I went into watching this trailer not interested in this series and not invested in this character. And after watching this trailer, I'm even less interested in watching this series and even less invested in this character. And it's kind of a shame for me because anytime that I see a black character being portrayed on screen, I automatically want to just see what they have done with it. But I'm always intrigued, or typically I'm intrigued whenever I see a black comic series that's being put out there. In this case, though, however, I was not intrigued. I was underwhelmed and at a certain point apathetic. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I never liked the introduction of the Ironheart character to begin with. I honestly believed that the introduction to the Ironheart character in Black Panther Wakanda Forever was horrible. And when I say it was horrible, I mean it was bottom of the barrel. Matter of fact, I watched this movie, and outside of all the other bad things that were going on with this movie, because let me be honest, that movie was a shit show if I'm being real. This was one of the low points. So what I didn't like about this character, and I'm going to try to break it down as much as I can because there's a whole lot I didn't like. But the main things that I didn't like is that you had Riri Williams kind of coming out like she was on some thugging shit. Like she almost looked like a dyke. Like I think I have a problem, first of all, with the actress. Like the Dominique Thorne, I think is what her name is. You know, when I think about the Riri Williams character, I think about a black woman who is from Chicago, Illinois, which means that she is FBA. And I told y'all before in the past that I have a problem with, a lot of these different production studios when they're producing movies having these FBA roles, and then they have a non-FBA actor or actress playing that role. And obviously, I've said this before too, the same will go the opposite way. So before y'all start whining and saying, we big Chadwick Boseman, I know that Chadwick Boseman was Gullah Geechee and he was playing an African role. I know. I don't want to hear no whining and crying and hoeing about it. I have said even with him that I would have preferred that it had been an African playing that role, although I believe that brother Chadwick Boseman did an excellent job in that role. Regardless, I believe that some FBA actress, some young, dark-skinned black female actress who is a foundational black American should have played Riri Williams. For those of y'all who do not know, Dominique Thorne is from New York, or at least that's what it says on Wikipedia. Then I looked into it a little bit deeper and realized that she is a child of Trinidadian parents. They're Trinidadian immigrants, as a matter of fact. The other thing that I didn't really like about this portrayal is the way that they try to force her character onto us in a way where they were trying to overdo making her this foundational black American woman who was a stereotype. I mean, to me, I thought that they were forcing her character onto us so much in that way that it simply just was not believable. And even when she was roasting, I mean, that shit was corny as well, too. She was talking to Okoye and she was like, look at all that ash on your head. And I'm like, the hell? Like, was that really her roast? Well, I guess since the portrayal was from a non-foundational black American woman, I guess some of us could say that that was accurate, right? Because she couldn't roast for shit. That's no disrespect to my non-foundational black American partners. A lot of y'all are writers out here, but let's be real. Some of y'all in the tether class, y'all can't really roast, and that showed that. So when I watched this movie, I just really wasn't believing the Riri Williams character in physicality, in her verbiage, in her personality, in her role in the movie. Everything about it just did not fit for me. I just really was not a fan of the portrayal. And honestly, I feel a different actress should have played Riri Williams. I mean, you could have got Coco Jones. They could have gotten Ryan Destiny to play the role. Hell, I would have even taken China McClain in the role. And I get that she ain't dark skinned, but just anybody but the chick that they got to play Riri Williams, y'all. Or somebody else who's a foundational Black American. Or to be quite honest with you, you really could have just got somebody new who we ain't never heard of before. I get it. I get it. I get it. That's all in the past. Let's talk about the present. There's a lot of things wrong with Riri's character to begin with, and then also with this trailer. So I'll start off with Riri's character to begin with. I've talked about this before on previous videos, and I especially went into depth about this when I talked about Miles Morales and his relationship to Spider-Man, that being Peter Parker. And there were a lot of you all who were whining and hoeing about this, but it is what it is. When it comes to some of the characters that they create in these different comic worlds, be it DC, be it Marvel, or whatever the case may be, a lot of these creators like to do what I call the black carbon copy trope. And there are two different subtropes within the black carbon copy trope. There are mantle passes and what most people know as race swaps. This was a mantle pass. Riri Williams' character in general is just a mantle pass character. If anything, we could even say that she is a double mantle passed character. And let me explain what I mean by that. This is a character whose aesthetic started with Iron Man's or Tony Stark's. Now, a lot of you all get tripped up because you're like, when I think of a mantle pass, I think of this idea of a superhero who is white in this case, passing down the mantle to somebody who is black so that they have the same aesthetic. But I'm here to tell you that that's not the only example of a mantle pass. You also have this idea of a white hero being established far before a black hero who was within that same aesthetic. And some of you all are probably just pondering and wondering, what in the hell is an aesthetic? What aesthetic are you talking about? The aesthetic for Ironheart would be Iron Man, just like the aesthetic for Miles Morales was Spider-Man. My point is that they literally take the aesthetic from a white superhero and then put it onto a black character for the purpose of tokenism. And here's the reason why I said that this is a double mantle pass. Because you at this point have even seen where they've done mantle passes for Iron Man already. The first way that you've seen this is with the War Machine character. He had a black sidekick who also had an Iron Man-esque type of suit. And that suit was what made him Rhodey, that is, into the War Machine. He was a mantle pass because he had a different name. He had a different personality, all this other stuff to Tony Stark, but he had the same aesthetic. So the difference between a mantle pass and a race swap is the race swap is just them literally keeping the same character, but only changing the race and all the phenotypical traits that come with it. But with a mantle pass, what they literally do is change enough things so that dumbass people who watch this can say, oh, we got an original character, and you get a hard one and all this other shit. Because of the fact that they finally showed somebody who was a black version of a character that you grew up on and you loved and all this other stuff. So they change a lot more things. They change the name. They change the backstory. They change all these other things. My point is that Riri Williams is the second coming of that because they've already done that with Rhodey. Now we can look at this in another direction as well too. Think about the idea that they had the character Pepper Potts, who was also known as Rescue. And think about the idea that she would in an aesthetic be a female version of what we've seen through Tony Stark's character Iron Man. She has a suit as well too. So now you have a woman version of Tony Stark and a black version of Tony Stark, but their mantle passes, not carbon copy, not their mantle passes, not race swaps. And now they created a character called Riri Williams, who is a black female version, basically, of Tony Stark. But the personality's different. She's a black woman and she has her own name, but the name and aesthetic is still similar to Tony Stark. The problem with this, in case you all are still that damn dumb and you're wondering, well, what's so wrong with that, is that this shit is tokenism. They do not want to create an original black character. This was a shit show before it even started, before it even got to the big screen. And then silly ass negroids will sit around and praise this shit like it's the best thing smoking because they're starving for some damn representation any way that they can get it. My point is that I just don't like when they do shit like this because, again, they're trying to pull this off as some level of organic representation when, again, it is tokenism. So I couldn't really get behind the Riri character just from that alone. But there's other issues too, even in the way that they portrayed her character and the way her character looks. One big issue that I've seen is the suit. I noticed that when Pepper Potts had her rescue suit, the suit was form-fitting and it still made her look feminine. The suit that Riri had in the MCU makes her look bulky and kind of masculine. And they tend to do shit like this quite often where they will try to show a still feminine version of a white woman, even if she is with the shits. And then with a black woman, she always has to appear and behave in a masculine way. Even beyond just the physical aesthetics and all these other things that I didn't like about Riri going in, there's still other problems even with this trailer. Because I know that's what y'all were waiting for anyway. But when it comes to this trailer, one of the things that I didn't like is that whenever you have a black female superhero, or a black superhero in general, it would be cool to see that hero be a heroic person, not somebody who is selfish and somebody who is only becoming a quote unquote hero to have some accolade for themselves. Riri's character is being portrayed as selfish in this trailer, somebody who wants to do something iconic, but not something that's heroic or to help people. She wants to be able to do something that she is known for. So again, her being a hero is just her being selfish. So it's not really even about being a hero at this point. Whereas you have so many of these other characters that are portrayed as people who are doing good. Now we could dig into some of these characters in a more deep way and we see that not all of them are necessarily heroic. But the one time that you have a black female hero who's supposed to be a standalone star, you make her selfish. And you have her doing some risque, weird ass shit. I mean, she's walking around with the Hood, who is this white Hispanic dude who's doing some kind of degenerate shit, you know, in order for her to get recognized. She's kind of affiliating herself with him. Something about that just doesn't seem right. And it doesn't seem like anything that a foundational black American woman would do who is trying to position herself as a superhero. And the reason why I don't really like this is because in our culture, we are known for having a certain moral code and wanting to do good for other people. That's why we are known for being the individuals with the biggest hearts who actually want to let everybody into the culture and love on everybody, even if they want to beat up on us. So it would have been more accurate to show her as somebody who was a hero in that regard. Yes, that image would have been upsetting to a certain extent because it would have triggered this idea that we are like this, right? But at the same time, it's better to see that than for it to be a thing of she's just a selfish degenerate who does things so that she can get attention, because that's not what our black women should be portrayed as or be about. So when I saw that, I really was not impressed with that. Now, some of you all can say, well, in the comics, this happened, in the comics, that happened, blah, 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 blah. My point is that this trailer was not a good revamp for this character who I already was not a fan of. I just simply watched this and I was like, yeah, that was underwhelming and I'm not excited to see this. I could be wrong. It could be a great show. It could be. It could be. It could be. But I don't think so. And here's the other thing that I thought about as well, too, even outside of this trailer. I don't also like the fact that brother Ryan Coogler is involved with this. And I'm going to tell you why I don't like it. If this show tanks What they're trying to do is establish a record of Ryan Coogler being an inconsistent producer. And let me explain what I mean by that. He produced Black Panther, and that was a success. He produced Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and that was a bust. He produced Sinners, and that was great. If he has a hand in producing Ironheart, they're going to Ronald McDonald him. And I told y'all about the Ronald McDonald agenda, where they put a black person at the forefront of some type of series so that if it does well or it fucks up or whatever, they use it against, people like me one way or another, because if it does well, they can say, well, look, the media is changing. It's different. And if it tanks, they can say, well, Ryan Coogler did it, so you can't get mad at us. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. But my point is that they want to have him on Ironheart so that if it bombs, and I believe it will, that this is something that he also messed up as well too. So it shows inconsistencies in his track record of producing. And some of you all could say, well, if he's talented, then obviously he should be able to pull it off. But that's not the case. This project was doomed from the start. The way they put it out there from the get-go was damning. The way that they produced this and the way they actually portrayed this was damning. And Ironheart as a character is just damning. So no matter what, there was no way to fix what was already a mishap before it even was created. So my point here is that when it comes to the mantle pass, that already set the tone for tokenism. And here we are trying to create some type of inauthentic representation. And so Ryan Coogler is now going to be playing the hand that he's dealt, just like he did in Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. So I think that this is a way to try to diminish his credibility and talent in a way as well too, without directly saying that this was it. Now again, y'all, these are just my raw thoughts. I'm not saying that I'm right, but what I'm saying is this is what I believe is happening. This is how I feel about it going in. And I do plan to watch it, but I don't know how much my opinion is going to change, because I already am not feeling too good about the way that all of this is going down from the get-go. But feel free to leave me your beliefs, thoughts, opinions, feelings, all that other stuff below, and I'll make sure that I take a look at what y'all think about it. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say, and I definitely will have more to come, so make sure you stay tuned. In the meantime, I would love it if you liked, subscribed, shared, and hit the bell icon so you get notifications for whenever I come out with new content on this channel. Other than that, I will talk to y'all later. Peace out.